Hello, I'm Sylvester McCoy, the seventh Doctor Who. You're now listening to the Walter Show. Real talk about nothing.
I don't mean to be an asshole. I hate to say it. I don't mean to be an asshole. And it's like, what? I just standing there staring at his face with his pants off. I hate to say it. I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't mean to, I don't mean to be an asshole. And it's like, what? I hate to say it. I hate to say it. And it's like, what? I hate to say it. Standing there staring at his face with his pants off.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. It is June 8th. It's a Friday, and yes, I am at home. I'm not at work. Still waiting for results on what's going on with me. I can't really say actually anything, unfortunately, about what is going on with me. I did say if something did not turn out in my favor, I hate to use that word, but I have to. I'm sorry, Matt, so to speak. I will let you know, because then everything will be disclosed. Otherwise, you probably will never hear about it if things turn out in my favor, because it could jeopardize my future. So I can't really say much at all. Hey, I actually have a question for people, by the way. If anybody listens to me besides Matt, I actually had to do an early withdrawal from my 401k to pay off a loan because I have no income at this point. So I actually did. I had taken an early withdrawal, which you get penalized, I think 10%. For some reason, somebody told me years ago was like 40% they tax you. Well, they tax you 20%, and then they tax you an additional, for a penalty. What do you call it? Penalty. Well, you get charged 10% more at the end of the year on your taxes. So you will have to excuse me. It's like an oven in my house. Our air conditioning unit had broken, so we have no air, and it's extremely hot. It's extremely humid. It's 80 degrees in the house right now, or at least outside. It's probably 90 or 100 inside. So because of that, this equipment I use does generate some heat, and I will probably not actually do a long show for a change. I'll probably keep it as to the point and just end it. Couple things though. I did go see last night. Thank you, Matt. By the way, he made that little mix in the beginning. I had to use it on the show. It was just too good not to let other people listen in. So, little sound clip in the beginning. So, thank you, Mr. Torrance, for that. Again, I'll keep this short because, unfortunately, it's mid-afternoon or mid-evening, I should say, at this point, and I'm afraid even after I tell people not to bother me while I'm doing this podcast, don't talk to me, they will. So it's just force in nature, I should say. So hopefully everything is good with everyone else. Yeah, I'm trying to look. I posted a little link, and now I can't find it. And I hate when that happens. Okay, here it is. Okay, I'm wrong. So anyway, I was curious about this movie. It looked actually pretty good. It actually looked pretty scary, so I went and seen it last night called, is it Hereditary? With my friend Matt. I asked him if he would go along with me, and he did. I'm glad he did. It wasn't exactly what I expected, though. It was a little bit more, for me, it made me jump a few times. My friend Matt, not quite. And also, it kind of, it was kind of a little bit boring, I guess. It kind of had, kind of slow, a very slow pace for the most part. But it did remind me, I've seen enough horror films, especially independent ones, thanks to Matt again, and some I had explored on my own. And in addition to that, I've seen those reality type, well, whatever you call those. There's films like The Conjuring, and also, excuse me, I forget, there's the other list of movies from the same director. Anyway, it kind of reminded me a little bit about like those, because it had, in my opinion, it was about witchcraft, Satan, and some other things. But that premise has been done quite a few times, unfortunately. Doesn't change that I did jump, not Matt, but me. Excuse me, I'm very squeamish anyway. I mean, it doesn't take much to make me jump, get scared. I'm looking at, because I try to give myself reminders of stuff. My one friend, Todd, at first he didn't want to see it. Now he does. There's going to be another Halloween coming out this October. Well, I mean, the Halloween movie, I should rephrase it. But I thought I read somewhere that John Carpenter was actually going to be involved in this new one. His reason for not wanting to see it at first, and also mine, is Jamie Lee Curtis is very anti-Trump and a big leftist, and that alone will ruin it for me and for him. But you know what? There's a couple different actors, probably directors. I love what they do. I just don't love what they stand for. So, I will say it myself, I'm being a little bit hypocritical. You generally don't want to support people who don't support your beliefs. Unfortunately, I'm a person who loves entertainment, so, I sell out when it comes to a good movie or a good show. Actually, speaking of that, it was kind of funny. A lot of people, this movie got really bad reviews. I just purchased it. Even though I have no income, I still purchased it. Was a movie called Death Wish with Bruce Willis. It's a remake of the one from 1974, I think. And I think it was done by Eli Roth, by the way. And I like Eli Roth a lot. I think what he does is really cool. And I think his stuff, personally, is very political. Because I know a lot of people did not like Green Inferno, and I loved it. I couldn't watch it again because it's so brutally violent. I mean, it's just over-the-top violence, and it just makes you want to go to the bathroom and vomit your guts out because it's so disgusting. But the premise of the film I love because it's about a bunch of, I hate to say it, but a bunch of tree huggers and Greenpeace leftist again. And what happens to them is just almost comedic, even though it's really just plain gruesome. I mean, these people think oh, we should protect these wild forests and the inhabitants, even if they're cannibals. We're going to protect these cannibals. Well, guess what? The cannibals end up eating these people, literally eating them. So, yeah, to me, it was just downright freaking hilarious. I love the film for that fact. And I've seen some other Eli Roth films that just is, based on reality, and it's just taken to extreme exaggeration of the truth. But it still has that point that, hey, this could really happen. Because even Cabin Fever was one of his films. And that was based upon real facts, but exaggerated to a large extent. But yeah, this could happen. People getting infected or whatever, infested by, what do you call it, from flesh-eating bacteria. That stuff does happen. He had taken it to the extreme. The Hostel movies. That's you got to watch where you tread or where you think that it's safe over in Europe because you never know what you're going to end up being. You might end up being some type of victim. Might get yourself killed in a most gruesome way. So his stuff, he takes something that could really happen and he just makes it into pure horror. So Death Wish, though, was another one, but that was actually the weakest of his films. Eli Roth, because I've seen Eli Roth, and usually when you see Eli Roth in a film, you're going to either like it or you will not. Most people don't like it because, I hate to say it, he's not politically correct. And I don't know anything about Eli Roth, so don't quote me on this, but from what I've seen in the past, he is not politically correct. And that's what I love about the man. He just basically bluntly says things that people on my side of the aisle way, from the right, are too goddamn afraid. I'm sorry about that. I should not say that. Or too afraid to say. They're just too afraid to even think the way Eli Roth makes his films. So I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I just love his films. So I saw Death Wish. You could get it on stream, and it was like, you know what? I thought about it for about a day, and I was like, you know what? I got to get this. It's Eli Roth. What else can I say? I love the dude's stuff. It's just, some of it's just hard to look at. Death Wish was actually one of his weakest films again, but there were some parts near the end, towards the middle and the end, that were Eli Roth written all over there with the gore fest. So you won't see it in the first 45 minutes to an hour. It's almost 2 hours long or something like that. I don't know. But it was worth it. I didn't get a comment back, but I told a friend, I said, this is the first film had seen in a while that I was actually applauding while watching it and laughing, because it is a true vigilante film with no exaggeration. Well, it is exaggerated, but not to the point that they have to wear a costume to prove their point. This is a guy who is just an average guy, who totally got screwed over, and he was looking for vengeance because the police weren't doing anything. And heaven forbid, he was using a gun. He was fighting fire with fire. So again, I see the way I look at Eli Roth, I can't prove this, is his films are filled with poetic justice. And that's just the way I know how to put it. I'm probably not the correct way. That's the way I'm going to put it. I keep on apologizing. I'm drinking some water to keep myself a little bit hydrated and cool my body down while I'm doing this podcast. Anyway, Hereditary, like I said, I don't want to say a lot. It just came out officially today. I saw it last night. I read the review or looked at it on Rotten Tomatoes. They gave it like 93%, maybe possibly higher. And there's this guy who actually looks at these films. Somebody on YouTube, my friend Matt, said you should check out YouTube for a way of somebody, people on YouTube will explain certain film work. So here's this guy, he picks and chooses certain films and gives his input. And he basically explained it in 5 minutes. That's what he put it. He says Hereditary ended explained in 5 minutes. Well, he actually explained the whole film in 5 minutes. And it was like, well, this is good. And I'm trying to look for the guy's name. Work of art director, ATZ. I don't know if he actually has a handle. Let me explain, I guess, is what his handle is. But the guy who did this video explaining the film, I had already seen it, so he didn't spoil anything for me. Did explain a lot, but at the same time, he loved the film. He thought it was the greatest thing. I think he probably saw it at the Cannes Film Fest or something like that. So, hey, that was cool. I mean, I'm glad that he liked it. I thought it was interesting. It did make me jump, but it also, and I hate to say it, I went in there a little bit that no matter how bad the film may have been, I would have liked it anyhow, just because I'm a big Toni Collette fan. I first got a Love Jones for Toni Collette when she played in United States of Terror. It was a show done by Spielberg about a woman with multiple personalities, and it was great. I didn't realize, but she did actually play in M. Night Shyamalan's very first film of The Sixth Sense. She played the mom. She's Australian, by the way, because when you see her, a lot of the stuff she plays with an American accent. If you hear her real voice, it just blows you away. She has a rather strong Australian accent, her real voice, I mean. So she does a great job. She's playing a lot of stuff. She's like, I don't know, but I would definitely put her very close to an A-list actress, whatever, how it would be politically correct for people here. And, yeah, I think she's incredible. And so, you know what? It could have been a total pile of dog shit, and I probably would still give it a decent review just because of her. But I think all those actors in that film actually did a really good job. It was an interesting film. I can't say it was like, oh, my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I'm not going to say that, but it was actually interesting. Right now, actually, here's another film I'm tempted to buy. I have not done so yet, but it actually is growing on me. They rebooted that video game made into a movie called Tomb Raider, and it was like, wow, this really doesn't look like anything like the original one as I remember. I'm jumping around. So it was funny. They had it on sale for $6. It was on my Xbox. You could get the game of Tomb Raider, and it was like one of the last ones, second to the last ones put out. And I was like, well, for $6, I'm going to try it out. And I looked at it, I was like, wow, I can see why they rebooted the movies series. I think it was like 2 movies of Tomb Raider with Angela Jolene. Well, they basically, when they rebooted it from the video game perspective because they changed the way Lara Croft looked. And it actually does look pretty interesting because I have that VR system. I haven't picked it up in the last 2 weeks, which is shocking because I was using it actually every day. The Oculus Rift, Oculus Go I have. So anyway, yeah, I was like, wow, they have a little trailer in there. It was free, and it was for the Tomb Raider movie. It was like, wow, this actually looks pretty damn good. So that alone, seeing the trailer that was on the Oculus Go, then be able to like actually dive into the video game a little bit. I'm not, you know what? I have a very short attention span. Like I'll start a game, I can never finish it. See, this is what I used to like back in the good old days. The video games I grew up with, me and my friend Matt and my friend Todd, more so. We grew up with those games that you could pick it up and there was like no storyline. You just basically played it, and when you finish, you started all over again. You didn't even lose anything. That's the kind of games I like. I hate those freaking games that they're very time consuming, and there is like, you know, you have to do it over a period of days, weeks, months. I can't deal with that. I have a very short attention span. So that being said, yeah, I like old school games. I'm talking like Zaxxon, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, even probably Dig Dug, definitely, Popeye. You know, games like that. And you didn't really have to spend much time. You just basically spend hours sometimes on it, but you didn't have to start all over again. Well, you did, but I mean, it didn't matter. So, Tomb Raider, I started that game. I'll probably never finish it, but it just definitely, I'm more of a TV and movie guy anyway. I'm not much for video games. I buy these consoles, and then sometimes I just basically use them, which is fine. Because Microsoft picked up that idea years ago, and so did Apple, actually, believe it or not, with Apple TV, is like, okay, we're just going to make it an all-around, you can play games if you want to, but we're going to make it an all-around media hub, more so for the Xbox, the PlayStation, which I have a story on that, by the way, too. So, that being said, yeah, I mean, I get some of my money's worth out of it, but it's just a real waste because I don't really, I'll buy piles of games and I never play them. In fact, I sell them to these game stores or whatever, and I take a big loss because not only weren't they played, but not only they played, I just waste a lot of money. Sorry, but this water bottle I have makes a lot of freaking noise. Yeah, I'm going to see if I put this up because I was actually kind of curious about this, or actually intrigued, I should say. And I don't see it. I thought I put it in my list of stuff. But it was like, because I like when I bought like the laptop I'm doing my podcast on right now. It's using AMD graphics, so, and AMD CPU and GPU, so it's an APU, I think they call it. And then it was like, you know, because I like to see, even though they're not doing very well, I always like to see the underdog try to do, you know, stay in there to keep who's ever on top of electronics, keep them like honest, and keep them from, keep them honest, keep them from ripping you off, and, you know, numerous other reasons. So that's why, you know, I don't want to see AMD go away. Well, I didn't think about it. Okay, here we go. I didn't think about it at first, but my computer, my Mac Pro, trash bin, is running AMD on the graphics. That's all you can get in that system. It's all proprietary anyway. So Apple has stuck with AMD for the most part. They do go waffle back and forth between AMD and NVIDIA. but they are sticking with AMD for now for their high-end machinery. Now, I could be wrong at this point, but I think they do, because I know their very new iMac Pro is running the newest AMD graphics in there, and it's called Vega or something like that. So yeah, they've been sticking with AMD. So it was like, wow, that's pretty impressive, because that's what I've been trying to do. I'll stick with them because Apple actually enjoys them too, so there must be a reason. Maybe they get a better deal. I don't know. Now, AMD is definitely way below NVIDIA on graphics, gaming chips and stuff. But again, I said I don't play that many games anyhow, so it's not a big deal. Well, I looked then. I went to AMD's website. I haven't been on there for a while. And what do I see? Lo and behold, is that AMD actually makes, what do you call it? It makes both the main core CPU, GPU for both their systems. And that is not both their systems. I apologize, for both mainstream consoles out there. One is the PlayStation. What is it? The PlayStation PS4 Pro. That basically is almost pretty much AMD makes the main core system for Sony, because Sony, I thought they used something else before. And actually, AMD also makes the core CPU, GPU for Xbox, the Xbox that I have, the Xbox One X. So, and the Xbox S. They're all using, all of them, because there is 3 systems now. Actually, 4 if you think about it. There's the PlayStation Pro, there's the new PlayStation 4 that is the Slimline. There is the Xbox One X, and there's the Xbox One S. They are 4 different consoles, 2 different companies, but yet they're using Radeon for their main system to run everything. So, because I remember when I read that, it's like, well, you can go between the Xbox and the PlayStation, but you're getting pretty much the same core system inside there. Not exactly the same, but it is made both by AMD. So that alone kind of just impressed me. And I read somewhere, I found some article where AMD is going to design a new graphics card in the near future, because they are falling behind, unfortunately. That's the main problem with AMD, is they do fall behind. So, that being said, I was just curious, what's Apple going to do? Because I did hear that from a friend, my friend Rich, and then I found some articles where Apple, which is what I am, I'm an Apple fanboy, I should say. What I am, that makes no sense, but I am an Apple fanboy for the last 5 or 10 years or something like that, more so now than I was before. So the reason I'm mentioning that was Apple is trying to push that they make their own central processing unit, their own CPU. They're not going to depend on Intel anymore. It's going to be bye-bye. We don't want to be bothered by Intel. So they've been, pumping up their core processor chips in their phones and their iPads. They eventually want to put that in their laptops and also their high-end machines that they sell from Apple. And by 2019, you might see the very first system that runs pure everything Apple. But if that is not the case, because in the past, Apple did have their own processor unit in their machines. But literally it was made by, or it was actually made by, I should say, it was made by Intel, I think. No, not Intel. I'm sorry. It's made by Intel now. No, it was made by IBM. That's your Power PCs. That was actually an IBM processor unit. So what I'm seeing is if they don't make their own CPU, they probably will have AMD make one for them, or they might just buy out the company of AMD, which is kind of funny because it's like, it reminds me, this is the only metaphor I can come up with. It's like a little fish getting eaten by a bigger fish, and then that fish getting eaten by a bigger fish. Well, that's what's going to happen if that's the case. Because originally AMD only made CPUs. Then they bought out a company called ATI, which makes graphics chips. So, yeah. So, anyway, it's the same thing again. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Somebody's making a lot of noise outside my window, and it's extremely hot, so I can't close my window. Otherwise, I'll be sweating to death. So, anyway, yeah, I don't know why they have to make noise in front of my window when I told them, please be quiet. Yeah, passive-aggressive is the word we usually use for stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, so I'm trying to get my train of thought together. It's not working very well. But, yes, ATI got bought out by AMD, so they could AMD could actually make a CPU and GPU all on one. And they actually do make graphics cards, but they just are branded AMD, even though it used to be called ATI. Now, if Apple buys that out, it'll be Apple branded. So AMD will probably just kind of dwindle away, and you'll just see Apple chips, for processors. I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point. But the funny thing is, it's just interesting how that works. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, so I'm trying to see if I have any other computer-savvy stuff to say on a very minimal base, because I do, I think. I have one at least. Because I was looking at some websites my friend Rich used to tell me about, like looking at. This was years ago. He used to talk about, I used to read stuff on Tech Report. And he also used to read stuff on The Register, which is a British website for computer-savvy stuff. News stories. So I did look at both of them. I haven't looked at those in a while. And since I'm talking about Apple, there was one on Apple. It says Apple hit with another faulty hardware lawsuit, this time with their iWatch. Because it seemed like my friend Matt said yesterday that the iWatch was doing rather well. So, yeah, so it was just kind of funny to see a story on that where it says, this is on the Register, and it wasn't even that old, the story. It's actually June. It just says June 7th. So, is that today's date, actually? No, it was yesterday's date. So this came out from the Register just yesterday, that there's a lawsuit against the iWatches because they have a problem where the battery overheated, and it's causing issues. So, at least for somebody, some gentleman put a lawsuit against Apple. So, yeah, it's pretty sad, but it's, this is what happens. Anyway, I apologize for the noise in the background, and I will pause real quick because I can't hear myself talk. All right, folks. Hey, this is Walter. I apologize for that background noise. I did close my window now, so hopefully that will be the end of it. But there's a good, unfortunately, there's a good half an hour of somebody trimming hedges when I asked him, please, can you please not make any noise? It's extremely hot in my room, which now I have to sweat it out for the next however long it will take. So I apologize. It's very loud, by the way, too. So, yeah, you talk about passive-aggressive. That's basically what I deal with on a daily basis, and I won't say whom does it. Who does it? Who does it? Yes, who does it? Anyway, this was kind of funny. Is his name Anthony Bourdain or something? Dies at 61 in an apparent suicide. So I don't know, but I made a joke with some friends online, probably very inappropriate, but I asked him, I said to him, hey, send it private text. I don't want to get myself in any trouble any more than I already have or had in the past. But I just said, who pissed off Hillary now? Because I'm sure and I meant that in the way of, got to be another leftist who just does not like Trump. Was being sarcastic. So then I see online, which is really funny, by the way. I got to look for it now. Was, because I already forgot her name. Wow. Oh, Rose McGowan. She's like flipping out, and she's all cranky or crying and everything on her Twitter page because apparently she liked Anthony Bourdain. Well, or ever how you say his name. Well, guess what? She's a real wacko leftist too, and she looks horrible. She shaved her head practically. She cut it really short. She looks like a convict. She's not the attractive young lady that I used to remember in different movies like Planet Terror. She just looks horrible, and she's a real leftist wacko. So that's the problem right now. You got all these leftists who are just flipping out, and I think, we got not a large amount of people. We got enough people who wear those vagina hats on their head because they're terribly upset and victimized by Trump and every white male now because, now that Trump's in office, all hell has broken loose on earth. And all these nasty Republicans are destroying our country. So, yeah, it's just like it's nonstop, folks. It's just really, really ridiculous. So, anyway, that's enough of that because I can't think of anything else. Now I can think, but now I just don't want to talk. So, yeah, I almost, it's a horrible thing when somebody commits suicide, but it's like the second one in the past week or two that somebody has done themselves in. So I'm just questioning how many of these people are leftists who are just really are so bent out of shape that, you know, we have a Republican president, and on top of it, it's somebody like Trump that they just can't grasp the fact that he won, and are now that they don't, or well, how can I say this? They are not going to get what they want. They're not going to get the results they want. So the end result is just doing themselves in. So, you know, I don't mean this in a mean way, but hey, you're doing us a favor. But how many times have you ever heard after Barack Obama had won, how many times have you heard of some conservative person, anybody, do you know anybody who had actually committed suicide from that? Now you're going to say, well, how do you know it's related? Well, trust me, these people are really wacko leftist. I do see it in my own personal life where, you know, I get this feel from females, especially, who just feel like they're being looked upon as pieces of meat from me, and that I'm like some savage creature who wants to rip them apart. Make a joke with Matt and say space creep. I look like a space creature or a space creeper to these women. I just look like a plain creep to these women for no other reason besides I am just a typical white male. And it's just horrible. I thought things would get better, but it literally, it's like you had stirred up the hornet's nest with these idiots. So, and it's not stopping. It's just like, it's out of control of these people. So I don't know how much more of this is going to... Well, it's going to probably continue. How else can I put it? It's not going to get any better. So anyway, I always try to keep my shows within an hour. I would re-record what got destroyed, but I'm afraid to because it's just too much work. And when I do that stuff, it's never the same. So I apologize. There's a big, large chunk of noise in the background, and I can't get rid of it. I can't win. I can't win on the hottest day where it's like 90 degrees in my room where I record my shows. I can't even keep my window open because somebody is making a lot of noise. It's just, I can't get it out of my head. Yeah, passive aggressive. There's no other way to put it. So anyway, it was another thing. Thank you, Todd Thomas, for sending me this article the other day. I think it was actually, it was June 5th. A lot has passed since the last time I've done a podcast. And you know what? I got to thank, before I go into the story, I got to thank my friend Rich, because he actually has been passed to me to get this thing called Movie Pass. He said, Walt, you should get it. It's called Movie Pass. You just go to moviepass.com. $10 a month. You get to see as many movies, brand new movies, whatever, any movies you want to see. You can only see them once now. In the theater, the theater of your choice, movie house of your choice, in your area, and you pay $10. They're standard definition movies, but I hate to mention this, but years ago when I was a kid, there was no such thing as 3D movies. So what is the big deal? I mean, it's just a hype thing to get more money out of your pocket, or these 3D movies. Now, it depends. I'll be a hypocrite again, and there are some movies I prefer to see in 3D. Doesn't add too much to it. In fact, it's kind of annoying to have to wear those glasses on your face. I think that whole nostalgic thing is starting to wear a little thin. So, but for $10 a month, I had seen at least 6 or 7 films so far, and I only paid $10. And each of those movies, say I've seen, let me just figure this out. Just take one of these films. I paid $10 for a month, and they're taking it out of my account. I got to be careful with my money now because I don't have any income. But for $10, I think I can suffer through that. And I just say I've seen 6 films, and the average price of a film around where I live is $13. So you say 6 times 13 is $78, and I paid $10. So and I'm being generous because I actually saw probably more than 6 films at this point, and they were all brand new films, in rather big on big screens. The film I seen last night, I saw what my friend paid for his ticket, and it was $13. I didn't pay anything. So I thank Rich for that, by the way, introduced me to MoviePass, because it is worth the money. So they were a little bit more laxed before, but now people are starting to pick up that, hey, MoviePass is not that bad. You get $10 taken out of your account once a month for the membership for MoviePass. You can cancel at any time, and you can see as many films as you want for $10. And right now, that's perfect because I don't have anything going on, with work. I am looking for another job in case something would happen to the job I am presently trying to get back. But at the same time, and I'm doing other things to get that back, which I can't mention. But the bottom line is $10, and I saw 6 or 7 films. 6 films is paid for itself, 6 times over pretty much. Actually, 7 times over. Let me see. 7 films is just ridiculous. It's insane because I'm getting to see, like last night, I didn't pay a dime for that movie that just came out today. I saw a early release of the movie Hereditary, and I did not pay a dime. So there you go. And that movie alone paid for my membership, but I've already had it paid back 7 times over with other films I have just seen. And it was like, it was the Marvel movie, I remember. I saw that. And it was A Quiet Place. And it was like 4 or 5 other films. Star Wars, I did pay for it the first time before I got my movie pass. But then I wanted to see it again. So I got it. I got another view out of it for nothing. So, and actually, let me just go down. I could probably give you a little bit of a list. I can't remember everything I've seen because I have the time now to see films. And there was films I would not have seen before for the simple fact I just don't have the money. Or, mainly it was just because I don't want to waste my money. It's just like, if I have to sit through a film and listen to people talk and hold discussions, I'm not going to go. I just don't have the patience to do that. But, hey, if I'm paying like pretty much close to nothing for a film, then, I'll probably suffer through it. So definitely, I said already, Hereditary. I'm trying to look because some of these films might have been pulled that I've seen. Solo. Deadpool 2. These are films I've seen under my MoviePass. The Avengers film. So, and there was some other ones probably, but you know what? I can't even. They're probably already pulled. And it's just in a short period of time. It's probably been like the last 2 or so weeks that I got my MoviePass in the mail. It's taken a little bit of time to get it. But when I got it, it paid for itself right away. So anyway, I lost track, and I lost probably my story at this point that I was gonna mention. So let's see if I can pull it up. Oh, and by the way, the beginning, people probably don't know who that is, but it was Sylvester McCoy. He was Doctor Who number 7. And yes, he did a plug for my show, but this plug I had put in about 2 months ago. I had paid for it. Or something like that. It was a while back I paid for it, and finally he did it for me, but he messed it up, unfortunately. God, you gotta love the man, though. He was Doctor Who. He was like my least favorite Doctor Who. It's just he has a unique voice, and that's the reason I had paid for him to do a plug for my show. Because I was bitching and complaining about how Kevin Sorbo, God love the man, because he's really cool, too. I'm watching Hercules right now. Not as we speak, but I started watching Hercules. I finished Andromeda. I don't know if I mentioned that, folks. Andromeda was a really good show, and it was a little bit upsetting, but it was definitely satisfactory how they ended the show. It satisfied me for what it was worth. Show called Andromeda. It's actually Gene Roddenberry's wife who actually was responsible for that show. She had taken some of the stuff that he had, basically chicken scratch on, other ideas. And after he passed away, I was like, hey, you know what? There's enough here. We can actually make another series out of what Gene Roddenberry had in his notes. And that was this Andromeda show. And it was really good. But the very end, the very last part of the very last show, they basically had almost like Gene Roddenberry, even though it was supposed to be a starship he's on, they basically had him like he was doing how do you say that, soliloquy? I always say that word wrong, where he was the only one left on stage. Because he even, like, the people that worked with him, like it was a woman who was supposed to be an alien, trans Gemini. She said, "Do you want me to leave you now?" And he says, "Yeah." So he basically gave a short little speech at the very last few minutes of the show where he was the only one left on stage, which even, like I said, it's supposed to be a spaceship. And he said, "Well, this is what I've accomplished. Basically he came full circle." And then they dimmed the lights on the stage of the ship, and then he walked off stage, and it was just, like, incredible. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but it was like, wow, that was intense. It was very intense how they ended the show. But they did that knowing that the show was not going to come back for another season. He actually wanted 2 more seasons off of Andromeda, and he was hoping, believe it or not, that was back in 2005, was the very last episode was aired. He was convinced, Kevin Sorbo, I think it was a year ago now, something like that Netflix was going to pick up and actually have him do 2 more seasons. Well, the only problem was, though, how easy would it be to get back these actors that were on the show that were regulars it was on for 5 years, that were on for the whole 5 years. Because I think it would be kind of difficult. It ended in 2005, and they were trying to pick it up in 2017, I think. Maybe it was 2016, but still, that's a long span from when it went off the air and when they were trying to bring it back, and it didn't happen. Netflix never did pick it up. So, unfortunately, it would have been interesting because he did want at least 2 more seasons out of it. So, and it didn't happen. But they ended it. It doesn't really matter. It's just a shame that they can't do that. So, anyway, yeah, what else was I going to mention? Well, that was about that's the most I want to say about that. The what do you call it, on the Andromeda? I don't know what got me started on that. I apologize. I'm making it go for an hour, so I don't know how. Well, at least pretty close to it. I didn't think I would have that much material or that much to talk about, but it's coming up in my head as I go along, I should say. Things that I wanted to discuss or at least mention. Yeah, so that would be a show to check out. Like I said, it's funny though, since I'm on the topic of when this heat, it's so hot in here I can't even think straight. I apologize. But it's Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, I'll have to say this. I did go back and I did start watching. I bought the series right before I didn't realize I was going to have no income anymore. And I started to watch, and I bought all, I think it was on for 7 seasons. I forget now. Maybe it was 5. No, it was 7, I think, of Hercules, because that's where Sorbo was really started to be noticed. He was really muscular, so to speak, and I know he had some issues. I don't know if folks know this, but he did have a problem. Like, that was a show done by or produced by, I think, USA or something. I'm not quite sure. Well, the man actually physically almost died because, one, he had to work out a lot to keep him looking as he did back then on Hercules. He made a couple jokes on Andromeda. So one of the things that was interesting was the way the character was played. That's the main thing I want to mention, because the way he played that character was the same way he played the character on Andromeda. Now, it wasn't anything like goofy or anything like that. No, for some reason, it seems like Kevin Sorbo is very religious. You could see it on both shows because he reflects that on in his acting, that he's very religious. And he's very serious. Obviously, probably it's reflected in his acting about his political belief, which he's very conservative. So that was interesting as well. But I'm saying both on Hercules and Andromeda, he played a very straightforward, very serious character. The characters were actually pretty much the same, even though Hercules was based upon a mythology, what do you call it, a myth, and Andromeda is a science fiction show, the characters had the same premise, literally the same premise. Only the difference was one had long hair, the other one had shorter hair. But that's about it. Characters were played the same. They were both really well done, well executed. Executed by Kevin Sorbo. I think he did an excellent job playing both characters, but the characters were very similar. And I think probably I would assume either Roddenberry. It sounds like I said Roddenberry. But either Roddenberry or his wife were obviously big fans of Sorbo from Hercules and said, you know what? The way you play this character, we want you to play, the character in Andromeda. There's nobody else who can play it the way you play it, because the characters do seem like exactly the same character. And I did read something, I might have mentioned this in an earlier show, that if you look at it, you read the articles about, like, reviews about Andromeda, you will see somebody actually wrote down, I'm not even joking, they said, yeah, Andromeda is basically Hercules in a Star Trek series, and that's exactly what it was. So, and I did like Andromeda a lot, so liking Hercules is not that impossible. But you know what the problem is with both these shows? Especially Andromeda, it follows a timeline. And if you don't follow that timeline, you can get completely lost. Like, you can't, it's like everyday life. You can't, say, okay, well, I'm going to skip to a week from now, and whatever happens now, everything else is going to make sense. Well, it won't, and what I just said probably doesn't make any sense. Like, you can't jump, you can't go in a non-linear way with the show Andromeda, and kind of the same with Hercules. Maybe not as much, but it does follow a linear line. So if you stray from that linear line, you're going to be completely lost. Trust me. So that's the only thing. But yeah, he's a very good actor, but like I said, he's very religious too. So you can see that. If that's a problem for you, I would not recommend either show, because they both have a very strong religious belief. He does add comedy, Sorbo. But I do enjoy the shows. Hercules is a little harder to watch because that was on from like 90-something until it was on for 5 years. So what? Probably 94, 95 to 2000 or something like that. Because it wasn't that much of a span between when he acted on the one show until he picked up the other show. But very serious actor. I've noticed that. He's very, very serious as an actor. And that's not a problem. I mean, because he is a good actor. And he really strongly believes in what he does or what even he talks about, if it's in acting or in real life with Sorbo. So that alone just impresses me like a whole lot. And it makes it worth watching him as an entertainer. And when I saw him in person, that just was what got me intrigued to, like, okay, I got to do some, not even research, watch some of the stuff he's done, some TV programs he's done or some movies or whatever. I do have a movie that he autographed for me. I still haven't watched yet. I feel bad for saying that. Already, I got 10 minutes left, so I got to kind of rush it up. So, and I apologize at the beginning of the show. I just don't want to re-record it, so you're going to hear a lot of background static noise, and it's just, whatever. So, yeah, when I get done with this, I'll be watching some more Kevin Sorbo stuff, because it's really good, and I enjoy it. Okay, let me just finish out a couple of these stories. But yeah, thank you. I really went off on a side note, and what I originally was going to talk about was something Todd Thomas had sent me, and it was about this story where this college student claimed she was raped by, I think, 2 football players at her school. So it says former college student who had claimed a rape admits that she lied about everything. This was on June 5th. A young Long Island woman who spent over a year insisting that she was raped by 2 Sacred Heart University football players, officially admitted that in court that she lied about everything. So, again, this is what I'm talking about, this whole, my friend Todd makes jokes about it with GIFs, they call them, on Facebook with me. But you got a lot of triggered people, and these are all people that are from the left who feel like they're so victimized that now they're like scraping the bottom of the barrel. They are scratching and clawing at anything, and especially the white Catholic male, because they're so upset that they did not get their way when it came to Hillary or Donald Trump. They're so upset that they're making up lies and stories, and they just don't stop. So, that is my opinion. So I just wanted to let you know that, because, if you agree with me or don't disagree, this is the U.S., so I am entitled, I think, at least I believe this, I'm entitled to my opinion, and I'm going to say what comes off my, top of my head, or what I truly believe in. So don't ask for anything else. I think the rest of the story is... Oh, wait, there's another story. I think, my friend Todd sent this to me. It looks like yesterday now, and I just noticed it today. That's kind of strange. Actually, it was 2 days ago. Teen tried to rape friend's mom at sleepover. A deprived teen tried to rape his friend's mom during a sleepover. I'm trying to make sure my computer doesn't shut down. But she kneed him in the groins and pulled a pistol on him to, basically get him off of her. So, yeah, this was a weird story. I don't know what's going on with people. Anyway, thank you, Todd, for that story. I'm not going to go any further. That was on the New York Post, in case you want to know. You probably don't, but I'm just saying. Okay, that's the last of my gossip stories. On movie news, there was something that they still haven't come. They only have a working title for the next Star Wars movie, which I'm not really that much. I'm not looking forward to that new one, which would be Star Wars Episode 9 that much, because I didn't like the other two too much. The first one was pretty interesting on the new series, the one that was done by J.J. Abrams. The second one out of that new series was pretty bad, so I'm not really looking forward to the third one. But it says new Star Wars 9 working title revealed. What does it mean? So I don't really care almost. I did like those side stories like Solo. I mean, the movie's just doing really bad. Solo, it's just going to be chalked up to being like the worst movie ever made, but it really was not. It was actually a really good film. So I'm not going to read into this, but you will find it is plastered everywhere that they said that they have revealed the working title for the new film. Star Wars 9 only a month away. With the production of Star Wars 9 only a month... Oh, so that's just this production part. The next installment, Star Wars Saga... Apologize, Sega's a system. Saga has received a new working title. While... excuse me. This is not the actual title of the movie. When it's released in theaters, it will be the title for Episode 9 when it's in production. I'm losing my voice because I can't even breathe. It's so hot in here. So, oh, God, that noise is so loud from my desk. I'm sorry. So, anyway, yeah, there was that. I honestly have one more story I just kind of put aside and throw it in if I had not enough room. So, this was kind of interesting. It was Fox Business. I think I saw this when I was checking for my email. And this was actually yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I'm sorry for that pause. China's ZTE, it's that phone brand, I think, ZTE, it's all caps, will pay $1 billion fine in deal with U.S. So that was pretty interesting. I did see that. That's why I had to bring it up. The U.S. has reached a deal with Chinese telecom giant ZTE, but the company will have to pay up and make some major business changes, according to the Commerce Security Wilbur Ross. Wilbur. Reminds me of that Horace the Talking Horse when he used to say that. So, sorry about this noise. Wow, it's really loud. Yeah, my mic is very sensitive. So yeah. Basically, bottom line is I'm gonna kind of just paraphrase. I think what this article's about is like Trump is going to put a tariff on a lot of these companies that import, products to our country, like from China, obviously, and some other places. You know what I actually heard the other day was really interesting. I think it was either today or yesterday. But I heard it was, I think, on Rush's show, which I haven't listened to regularly. Like I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh, find a lot of information on there. Sean Hannity, a little bit. Bill O'Reilly, and there was Matt. It was Matt something. God, it's been a while since I've actually pulled any information. But, different talk show hosts. But you know what? Lately, I've just been so preoccupied about my living situation. I really just haven't had the chance to listen to these guys. So that's why I don't have any new information or comments about what's going on around the world, because I just am preoccupied with my own personal turmoil, whatever you want to say right now. So I apologize about that. Actually, I might make it better too. So who wants to hear me complain all the time? Because once I get back to that, my rating's going to be 0 again. So, yeah, I'm trying not to make too much noise and touch my desk because it just makes a lot of banging and loud noises. So, yeah, so that's all I had. But yeah, the thing is, yeah, Trump did promise this, amongst the wall, lowering the taxes and things like that, and putting tariffs on countries that are, basically putting tariffs on us anyway to, import our stuff to other countries. So he's like, well, we're going to return the favor. We're going to put strong tariff taxes and stuff coming into our country from other countries. If you're doing it to us, we're going to do it to you. But no, that's not the thing I wanted to mention, though. I actually heard, I'm sorry, I did go astray again, and it is actually an hour now. So that's another thing to apologize about, because I do want to keep it with an hour that I can kind of cool down a little bit. I'm really, really hot right now. I'm really sweaty. Not that you really care. But I heard on the radio, and again, I think it was Rush or something, that now U.S. has become so self-sufficient with oil that we're now exporting it to, what is that considered, OPEC? Like, we're actually exporting oil now. We're not actually worried about importing oil because thanks to Trump and everything like that. I think I got that right. I would go on my keyboard and type it up to make sure I'm correct about that story that I thought I heard. But if I do that, it's going to make a lot of banging and clanging on my desktop. So I rather not do that. But that's actually really good news. That is really good news that, yeah, we are so self-sufficient at this point that we're actually now we are exporting oil. Who ever heard of U.S. exporting oil? And there was another thing. I forget which, I should have pulled the story up, but I saw this the other day. I bookmarked it, and I totally forgot about it until now, where they just, I forget which state it was. It was and I'm not even joking. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It was some lawn service who had 113 people arrested because they were by ICE, because they were illegal immigrants. I can't remember. If you are interested, just kind of contact me and I can find the article. It's buried in my Facebook page, because I find these articles. I hear it on the radio basically, and then I look for the story, and then I link it to my Facebook page so I can pull it up later on. I did not do it this time, but yeah, 113 people were taken in by ICE that were illegal immigrants. I forget again which state it was in. I don't even want to guess at that. But it was wow. I just had a clap on that one. It was wow. See, this stuff did not happen before, because with our old government, we had placed a blind eye on this stuff because they were victims then. Now they were being treated the way they should have been treated all along. These people are criminals, and they're taking money out of our pockets and out of our mouths. So that's good that they are now getting arrested and taken in because they are here illegally. Like, who wants somebody to come into their house and basically just invade it and do whatever they damn well please, and you just say, well, I can't do anything about it because, you know what? That's not fair, and that's being unjust to them. No, you're being unjust to us. You're coming in my area. You're coming into my house. Not, I'm just saying that as a figure of speech. You're coming into my house. You're stealing everything, but yet I can't do anything because it's not politically correct. That's the word I'm looking for. So anyway, folks, it's very hot. Thank you very much for listening to me. This is Walter from iWalter, and I'm going to sign off for now because I am just like sweating my, off. Have a good one.